I need to hear from you if we are indeed back. Apologies. Apologies. All the apologies in the world. My internet is not great, or my computer is not great, or something is not great because yeah, I shouldn't be getting interruptions in my stream like that. But I do need to hear from you if indeed we are. What's going on here?
Okay, so I just posted the link
Uh-huh.
into
Well,
the
no,
old
no,
YouTube
I
chat.
think for some reason I'm not seeing the Here we are. Are we back? Apologies, chat. Apologies once again. I'm gonna have to. This is like this is a lot to deal with. So what happened was that my I don't know if it was my computer. I don't know if it was my internet. I don't know what it was, but something disconnected me, and anyway, this means that I have to go um like through everything and reset it up as what it's supposed to be, which is a huge pain in the ass. Oh great, NCC hacks your soul again. Yeah, that's not what this stream is called. Thanks for finding me anyway, even though it's like mislabeled. It is definitely not a good day for me. Um, Sorry, this is a pain in the ass. I guess we'll put this on the background while I fix everything in the background.
Essentially like victims in these communities because nobody wants to call them on their bullshit. And the fact that it has just stayed in this little bubble, like this shit with Courtney Orchard, with like the incest porn shit, that happened in like November
Right.
last year. And it's like nobody said anything just because nobody knew about it. So like there are still people that are like joining their community and they think that like Poppy knows what the fuck she's talking about because she's a therapist and that these are like safe people to like share your experiences with or try and like build a community or whatever. But these people are literally just looking for like the next fuck in their community essentially, right?
Yeah, no, no. I mean, I this is a long time ago now, but I vaguely remember this when I guess I was more on the soy side of the situation. But with Jessica Unique,
Did you hear what I said? Or did you hear what I said earlier about Chud Logic and his actual political beliefs, his origins, etc.? Chud Logic was supposed to be ironic. It was not a serious, like, his name wasn't Chud Logic because he was like, I am a Chud and that is fucking based. I got the Chud Logic right here. No, he was making fun of Chuds. He was a lefty, right? He used to be more on the soy side of things, and he sold his soul. Whatever soul. I don't think that he'd get a good value. Like, I can't imagine that you. This is like Trump trying to sell True Social, right? Chud trying to sell his soul. Does he even have a soul? No, probably he's got to have. I mean, like, do you believe it? So some people maybe don't believe in a soul, but psyche, I don't know, what have you. I don't know. It's just a weird thing. What I mean is that, like, there's not a lot of like ethical, moral center to this particular person in the first place, and you can see like his project as a leftist streamer is probably more a project of self-aggrandizement than anything else. But like, he's saying it right there. I was more on the soy side of things. Yeah, that's who you are in your right-wing audience. If they ever find out about that, Chud, they're gonna tear you apart, and I'm gonna laugh. But anyway, uh,
Jessica Unique seemed to be like a very bad person, but some people were like worried to call them out because it's only the
nobody had a problem saying that Jessica Unive was a fucked up person, right? But fucking doing content on Jessica Unive is essentially signal boosting a right wing, like look, you know who should take care of Jessica Unive? Like the cops. I think, as far as I understand about Jessica Unive, she did stuff that was illegal, and but no, like Chud is like, no, like the trans community should do 24/7 coverage of Jessica, exposés on Jessica Unive. And I mean, like, can you imagine even what that's like for a what that would be like, right? If you put Jessica Unive in your stream title, you're gonna get like a right-wing transphobic audience, right? Anyway, he wouldn't understand that. There's like somebody in his chat named Waffen SS. That's telling. Again, it's the tragedy of Chud Logic, right? This is not, who he is. This is not who he was, but this is what his audience is. This is what he sold his, soul for, and it doesn't seem like much more than, just magic beans or whatever. I hope there's a castle, in the at the end of that beanstalk for you, Chud, because I mean, this doesn't seem like worth it. Like, I'm just imagining like his kids in school. What does your dad do for a living? My dad's a fireman. My dad's a my dad works at a bank. My dad is a plumber. My dad is Chud Logic. My dad calls people the R-slur on Twitch for a living. That's that's wow. Bring what do you call that? Like the day when like kids bring their parent to work or whatever, like the show and tell thing. Where anyway, uh, that's his life. That's his life.
Conservatives that are saying anything. And I agree that sometimes conservatives are fucking insane in the shit that they say, but like, just because a conservative saying something is bad doesn't mean that it's not bad. It could be that they're right this time, and you should probably just look at it yourself and see. Because there are definitely people that are fucked, and they do need to be called out. I agree. Yeah.
Well, it's broken clocks and stuff, right? Like that was the one of the things like with all the Keppel shit too that bothered me, where it was like, oh my god, like all this stuff is coming from Kiwi Farms, and it's like, dude, this is like a clip of you saying this though, or like this is like an image with like a timestamp, like this is a log that leaked. Like, what do you have to say about it? Like, it doesn't matter like where it came from, obviously, like ethically sourced drama or whatever the fuck. But like, this is something that you did. It doesn't really matter. Like, if these people are calling you out, that doesn't mean that I'm suddenly not allowed to just because these other people are taking notice to like your fucked up behavior. And I don't have any allegiance to you just because we're both fucking trans. Like, I don't owe you shit. And I
Okay,
definitely
so
don't owe you
notice something, like, right? I'm from what Chud would call the soy side of things, and I think this is important to talk about. And I've been following this case for even longer. I would have brought it to you earlier, except for the fact that it was just too unwieldy of a story to put together at the time. This is not something that like the intersectional left is ignoring. You know who's ignoring this? White Leaf. And are they doing it because they want to protect trans people because they're really precious about like, oh my God, if a trans person's doing something bad, we can never talk about it. No. There's a reason that people like Annie Gal, there's a reason that people like Aaron Green TV, get called out and get pushed out of these communities because like, trans people, queer people don't, want this in our community either. I don't know what the hell coming on like Chud Logic stream and being like, yeah, the left really has a problem. The queer community has a problem. We're not calling out any of these fucking monsters. No, yeah, absolutely call them out. And Malcolm, I'm glad that you, did the work that you did. I'm glad that you made the video. I hope you don't make the same sort of, compromises Chud has made. I hope you don't see his life as something to aspire to rather than the cautionary tale that it actually is. But yeah, I don't know, chat. This is what does the stream say on Twitch? I have to change the name of the stream because everything resets. There's no easy way to like just yeah, okay, we're still on the right it still says the right thing on Twitch. Again, if you appreciate what I'm doing here, if you want me to be able to come to you more, there are many ways you can support the stream, and whether that is through subs, whether that is through memberships, gifted memberships, which are great not just for in that they support the stream, but they're also supporting other people in terms of them being able to have access to weasels and all the sort of exclusive content that comes with that. That really helps out a lot, especially on a day like today when very likely my stream will be completely demonetized based on the content that I'm covering, right? I don't know, Schmegley. I don't know if it was an OBS burp. I don't know what it was, but it wasn't good. Whatever it was. Okay, I'm saving this as part 1 and part 2 of the stream. Hopefully that's not too confusing for anybody. Anyway, Let's finish this content.
You cover for being like a fucking pervert in Discord to people that probably aren't able to like get out of it themselves, right?
You're talking to Chud Logic. You're talking to somebody who's literally been a pervert in Discord. Like, right? It's just so, like, what the hell?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, this is not supposed to be a Malcolm call-out video at all. Like, I mean, again, I'm glad that somebody was able to do the work to aggregate all this. I do think that, like, you know, Poppy and Xena are like a danger. I feel like, you know, from looking, and we're going to look at their, you know, stream, it seems like a lot of people in their community have not gotten the message and do not understand what they are a part of. And, you know, this call-out very much needs to be made. It's just...
And I think it's quite funny when you see like Willie Mack does a video, Mutahar's doing a video, and these kind of claims of this, oh, the right wingers, it's the Kiwi farmers, start to have less weight because it's like, well, Mutahar is like not a Kiwi farmer, but then they still try and claim that because they know they've got to hang on to that in order to try and, you know, hold on to this idea that it's all bad faith right wing stuff coming at them. So
yeah, for sure. And that's something that I think too, like, again, just like calling back is like all this shit that I have found, I saw one clip.
Okay, so again, like, this is an issue with the Vosh clout network protecting itself. That's what's going on here. That's what's happening, right? They circle the wagons, they protect Vosh. In exchange, Vosh protects them, Vosh covers for them, and all up until the point where they become too much of a liability to justify keeping them on the platform, to justify keeping them in the White Leaf network, right? And, you know, kudos to White Nervosa, I guess, for at long last realizing that there was a problem, that you had a literal fucking predator on White Leaf, that's what you were fucking supporting, right? Kudos for that, but it's a little, it's a little bit of too little too late, right? And I'm doing this content specifically because this is not an issue with the trans community. This is not an issue with the queer community. This is not anything like that. This is an issue with the toxic asshole that just got caught for showing his folders full of lowly and horse stuff, horse materials, horse NSFW horse pics. There we go. That's what it was, right? I've been trying to think of an algorithmically friendly way to say this, right? But you know, that's the problem. That's really fucking obvious to me, right? You got people that are part of Vosh's network that are, you know, essentially like his shooters in terms of somebody criticizes them, they get a video made by Poppy and Xena, like, you know, debunking them and debunking the criticism and like trying to turn it back on them, right? And are you surprised that they're doing some of this, in fact, in some ways like worse than what Vosh has been accused of? The defense for it, this is like identical to the way that Vosh or Keffals would defend themselves, right? Like, this is not hard to figure out what's going on here. This is not hard to figure out where the problem is. The problem is with Vosh. The problem is with White Leaf. The problem is with Debate Bros. All right? And as soon as the left like moves past that stage of evolution, I think, you know, things are going to get a whole lot better.
The farm. Everything else is shit that other people have already documented and stuff that Xena and Poppy are too fucking stupid to have the fucking foresight to see that this is going to make them look bad and that they leak themselves. You know what I mean? All of this stuff comes from within their community and people rolling on them. I didn't have to dig for hardly any of this stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I think, well, I mean, you know, I would definitely recommend your coverage. You seem to have done a much more kind of in-depth job on it. Before you go, actually, do you want to just like shout your channel out and just say a bit what you talk about there?
Yeah, it's Goddammit Malcolm on YouTube. I have the last couple of videos that I did were on this specifically. I normally like talk about like trans shit or do like trans debate. Like that's kind of the content that I like to do. But I took like a year off of content creation and streaming and stuff, and I just started doing it a little bit more now. But I'm greatly enjoying like the drama angle of all this. I really like drama content. I just never really did it. And I know obviously that sounds like kind of shitty. Like this isn't really drama, right? Like this is, you know, people that are like actually fucking scary that are like licensed therapists and shit. Like that's pretty fucking scary.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So I use drama like in like loose quotations.
Listen,
obviously.
it's fine. You can say that here. No one's going to mind. Okay. That we call everything drama, right? But sure, maybe for the other side of the audience, maybe just the association here is purely an information exchange and nothing else. Just to be clear, okay? Just in case your audience, the wokes, listen to the wokes. This is just an information exchange, okay? But yeah, no, sure, I agree. I mean, as you maybe know a bit,
Yeah, no, Chud, I think the thing is you've exchanged more information than you realize, and I thank you for that, right? Because it's important that the community keeps an eye on like what's going on in that community, whether it is people like Poppy and Xena, predating on a community, lying to a community, using their ill-gotten social media clout from being like shooters for Vosh, to win interpersonal issues like your girlfriend breaking up with you. Like that is highly fucked up, right? But yeah, no, Chud, you've done look, the guy's a comrade. He just doesn't realize it, right? He's an unconscious comrade out there, right? Thank you, Chud. Good work today
to the drama in it.
in telling us, I think, more than you intended about not just Poppy and Xena here.
Kind of very tempting once you get into it. You just want to keep doing it. So it'd be interesting to see what other stuff you dig up if you decide to dig into some other controversies like this in the future. Certainly.
Yeah, I'm waiting patiently to see like if they're gonna do anything. I don't know because they streamed last night and it was just kind of like a word soup video for like 4 hours. But it'll be interesting to see if they like clap back on anything. I don't think they will. It seems like they're kind of getting the idea that it's very Jover, especially since it's like leaving there.
Yeah, I don't know. From what I've seen, they do intend to go on. They view this as a minor little bump, and that's why their account says Poppy and Xena containment arc. When they're talking about containment arc, they're trying to contain the information, right? Some people are aware of them. Some people that were in their friend group, some people that in the White Leaf network are now aware of like what they were doing, and they're calling it out. And what Poppy and Xena are trying to do is just try to close down this community, be like, they're all stalkers, they're all weirdos, they're all, whatever. They're calling like people covering, like people sharing this information, the Suicide Squad, right? As in that they want, for Poppy and Xena to, unalive or something like that. And in reality, it is, like you fucking victimize your own community, you victimize people on the internet, you use this social media clout to lie about somebody for breaking up with you, and you use it to attack your child. What do you fucking expect to happen? Like there is not a problem. Like I mean there was like a problem with this in terms of it being on Twitter and it being on Tumblr and it not having any exposure on YouTube. And I am glad that Malcolm is giving it that exposure, and for the people in that community that are finding out about what Poppy and Xena are really about through Malcolm or through me or through anybody else. I mean that this is a good thing. This needs to happen, but please don't act like it's something that the trans community or the queer community has a problem doing. We're like, people like Annie Gal, people like Aaron Green TV, people like, White Nervosa, like I have always called out, right? It's not, it's a funny inversion too, because like, the other thing that's said about like, online lefty politics and online LGBT politics is that there is too much call out. There's there's some kind of cancel culture, feeding on our own. And I don't. This is not what's going on here, right? This is very real harm, and it needs to stop, and it needs to be called out. And the people that are being victimized by Poppy and Xena, the people that are still on the inside of that cult-like atmosphere that they've created for themselves, need to be warned. So anyway,
Little bubble. So
awesome. Well, listen, thanks for coming on, having the conversation. I appreciate it, and yeah, look forward to seeing what else happens.
Yeah, of course. Take care. If there's anything else that you want, like if you are interested in any of this shit, I am like autistically interested in all this. Just let me know because I have all the Tumblr links and stuff saved. So if you want more shit, just let me know.
No, appreciate that. Thanks very much. Cheers.
But yeah, no problem, bud. Have a good rest of your day. Okay.
You too. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Later.
All right. So I mean, we'll be interested to see what becomes of Brother Malcolm, whether he's stays independent or becomes some kind of Chud logic orbiter. I mean, I hope that's not the path that gets chosen. I do have more video to show you here, and I did not mean for the stream to go on this long. I'm supposed to be doing way shorter streams now, And particularly on a day like this where most likely what I've done is demonetized, and most likely I am doing what I'm doing, bringing you this stuff for free. There we go. Oh shit, this is way too long. I thought, I don't know, for some reason I thought that there was more. Anyway.
Yeah, that's where I found everything. I haven't found.
I just replayed the video again. Anyway, let's.
So, let's just get right down to business. You will notice that chat has changed. That is for a reason. We found a neat little thing that lets us put YouTube chat on screen. Now, you're probably wondering, why is that? Well, we'll be covering that more in another segment, but the short version is that White Forest decided to drop us. I'd like to say I know why that is, but I don't. We got.
I think you've got some good guesses, Poppy. I think maybe you can put it together.
Message from White Nervosa a couple days ago, like Monday or Tuesday, and essentially was told that we had violated their SOP. I've heard a couple people.
So on the left we have Poppy. On the right we have Xena. Poppy uses she, her pronouns. As far as I know, Xena uses they, them pronouns. If I'm correct.
People tell me like what that is as far as like different acronyms, but the reality is that when we started working with White Forest, there wasn't anything to sign. There wasn't anything.
Paperwork.
There was no paperwork. There was no
legal
specifics.
anything.
As far as I can tell, it's entirely based.
So like, you take care of yourself. If your card's declining, I appreciate all you've done to help me, and I that's I don't know.
Based on vibes. And what seems to be the issue is that we have violated something, or other members of
Oh, thank you, Omega Star.
that group or that clique spoke up against us. I know there are a couple people.
Like, look, if there's a clique at all, it's the Vosh clique, okay? And you were part of that clique, right? And that served to protect you in some ways, right? When the accusation was you're being like, you're attacking, other people that are perceived enemies of Vosh, etc., of that clique, then they were there for you, right? But when it became that you are making them look bad, that's when they turned on you, because you are making them look bad, and they should have called you out a long time ago.
Who are in that group that have an issue with us. I won't speak their names for fear that they will appear like Beetlejuice. But regardless, these people, I have a feeling, petitioned for us to lose our website. Now, this is temporary. We are in the process of building.
What's going on here? The further dissolution of the Vosh network. If you weren't living under a rock, you might know that Vosh exposed himself a couple of months ago. It exposed, some folders that he had, and these were folders with NSFW horse material, right? And that's as specific as I can be, right? I don't want to say like, what it actually is, because it's I'm sure I'm already demonetized on the other video. We're going to try to stay monetized on this video as long as no one says, like, but yeah, the Vosh exposed what he had in his spank bank, in his fat folder, and it was not good. Vosh for a long time has claimed that even though there's clips of him saying really disgusting stuff about child exploitation materials and sexual exploitation materials, that he does not endorse that stuff, that he is not that's he's been taken out of context. It's all lies, right? And then he accidentally shows his folder, and there it is. There's like lolies and horses, and there's lolis with horses, right? And it just like, so, you know, I mean, like he's been on a fortress arc ever since then, trying to keep his community together, trying to make some content, some response for them to at least believe that he's not a piece of shit, which he is, as exposed by Ethan Klein. These are two members of that Vosh network. These are two orbiters, if you will, like smaller streamers who, you know, are friendly with and defend a larger streamer, that being Vosh, in order to share some of their audience, right? Because when a content creator says good things about you and you say good things about that content creator, you tend to end up sharing some audience. And for a smaller streamer, the only way to really exist, the only way to make your you know, your enterprise anywhere close to a financially viable is you know, that sort of orbitership. Irene has been exposing Vosh since day one. Well, not quite. I mean, there was definitely a time where I was a lot more. I handled people like Vosh and Destiny with kid gloves, right? But you know, when you know, you know, and my eyes were opened, right?
Our own. We have some very, very talented people who have some very, very good ideas to build a similar website. And yeah.
So do you hear that? There's a rival. What is that going to be, like a rival Whiteleaf for I'm just trying to imagine who's going to be like the canceled of Whiteleaf, like, right? Who's gonna be on that network? Like are they gonna have like Anygal, Aaron Green TV, like just all the people that have been exposed for like Lolicon or you know, inappropriate acts with minors or whatever, right? Like this is I think she's full of shit, okay? From what I know about this type of website, is it's difficult to put together. Destiny put together a website for himself. Somebody named Cake in his community actually wrote the code. It was public domain for a really long time. That's when White Nervosa grabbed the code and then talked to Cake and got some help from Cake in implementing the code. And when Destiny found out that Vosh was using his code not just for himself, but for like a whole network in order to be like to sweeten the deal as far as him getting orbiters. You know, Vosh was a Destiny orbiter, right, at one time until they split apart. And, you know, like Vosh being able to offer these websites that effectively can up to double the income of a streamer. So, you know, when you donate, when you donate through YouTube or Twitch, or when you buy yourself a sub or a membership, that goes to support the stream. That goes to me. That helps, you know, what I'm doing be viable, but only in half, right? Because Twitch and YouTube obviously take the other part of that. So, you know, you're getting some of your money like taken away by the platform, right? With this kind of website, what Destiny has and what Vosh has, they can implement the same sort of stuff in terms of emojis and, you know, having your name term a different color to recognize the fact, you know, giving like all this kind of stuff can be done on a website. And by doing that, the streamer makes, you know, almost all of the money. So they lost their website through White Nervosa after, you know, after being exposed for a long time. Finally, Whiteleaf recognized that these people were more of a liability than they were a benefit. They had been sort of, you know, like foot soldiers, I think is what Vamps called them, for Vosh for a really long time, attacking, you know, his real and perceived enemies and clapping back on like smaller channels, for instance, so that he didn't have to. But at a certain point, they become more of a liability than they are an asset, and that's when they get cut off, and they were indeed cut off. Now, them saying that they're going to set something up like similar to Whiteleaf, I mean, that remains to be seen. Part of why it's viable is because Vosh is huge. Vosh is, you know, usually has, I don't know, anywhere from, what would it be, like 3,000 to 5,000 now. It used to be more from like 5,000 to like 10,000, right? He used to get a lot of concurrent viewers, but after the, you know, scandal and Ethan Klein exposing him, he's got a lot less people in that chat. That being said, like he serves as like kind of the anchor point in that, you know, he's able to pay his sysadmin, he's able to put money into the network, and the servers that run, because, you know, there's the website part, there's the code part, right, which I alluded to there with White Nervosa and with Cake, and then there's also the element of hosting, right? Hosting is expensive when it's just one person paying for it, but if that person's like a big streamer like Vosh, you know, that's a expense they can definitely afford, especially if it like doubles their income. And when you've got, you know, he's got this like hosting capacity that he doesn't completely use, it makes sense to bring the orbiters on board to kind of sweeten the deal, and also sort of to have some control over them, because then you've got the situation where they're being gifted this thing by Vosh that lets them increase their income pretty substantially. And if they do anything wrong, whether that's, you know, something like this that's embarrassing to Vosh, or whether that's you know, criticizing Vosh too hardly, or Keffals or Xanderhall or anybody else in the network, they can be cut off, right? So it's a way to enforce that you know, common purpose of, you know, supporting Vosh and supporting the network, right? And we've seen this as CJ, I'm sure, can attest to, in terms of what happened with Rose Wrist. When Rose Wrist did something that displeased the network, Rose Wrist lost his White Leaf site. So
We're gonna do our own thing. So,
wait, what did Dylan do? Where are you getting something about Dylan?
yeah,
I think Dylan's on the White Leaf network, but we're not really talking about Dylan today, are we? I think he got mentioned in one of the screenshots. Let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this isn't. Oh, Vosh foot soldiers exposed. Did you think I was talking about Dylan? I mean, okay, so yeah, here's where Dylan gets mentioned, right? Wait, did I lose this? Anyway, when White Nervosa posts, White Nervosa terminates Poppy's website here. This is Vosh's sysadmin. They had been hosted by the White Leaf network. That's, you know, Vosh's, the network that Vosh is essentially, you know, paying for the hosting on. And yeah, so this person, Carl here, comes in and says, wait, what law did they break? Is there even an arrest record or court record to justify the claim? This is kind of a common tactic whenever anybody in the Vosh network gets accused of anything, whether it be Xanderhall or whoever, and they reply. So the, you know, somebody that Poppy victimized here, Snowflake, aka Goth Miss Frizzle, says, same reason Poppy was fired from her job. She committed the legal definition of harassment in her state. She also decided to blackmail a teenager, that being, you know, her adult child, into silence. And then Carl claps back with, well, no, she was fired because she refused to take down her social media presence. I don't really trust any online receipts unless they come with legal docs. I don't see why an organization whose primary donor is Vosh, that being, you know, White Leaf, would accept anything short of litigation as proof of crimes, right? This is also like, you know, what a Trump fan will say when you are like, you know, well, Trump did all this stuff, and they're like, yeah, but like, has he been found guilty of it yet? Well, or even if they are, they'll accuse the judges of being biased. But anyway, we haven't gotten to that part with Poppy and Xena, because no charges have been filed yet. I mean, there is some stuff that I don't know. Like, I mean, it's possible that somebody could bring like a slander or a defamation charge of some kind. So Snowflake says it's literally because she was breaking the law. She didn't have to take down her social media. She just needed to stop breaking the law, and there's countless pieces of evidence against her. Meanwhile, she has zero supporting evidence for her own case. So Carl comes back with, I mean, there's also countless pieces of evidence against Vosh, Keffals, Xanderhall, Dylan Burns, Demon Mama, basically all of White Forest most prominent streamers. I don't think there's any been, like, as far as I know, like, I mean, I guess Keffals, you know, if you look at the Willie Mack stuff, there is something, there are some things that he alluded to the possibility of like legal action against Keffals. I don't know if there's. I mean, there's not like, you know, legal action or certainly not like any criminal allegations against any of these people. But there are people that, I mean, there are instances where all these people have done stuff that's kind of fucked up, and people, including myself, have called various you know, white leaf streamers out for those, right? But it is kind of funny that in sort of using this classic Vosh defense for Poppy and Xena, they're sort of admitting that there's countless pieces of evidence against, like, you know, at least some of these streamers here. Anyway, we're not really getting into anything to do with Dylan Burns today. Sorry if anybody came over here for Dylan Burns stuff, but the foot soldiers, the Vosh foot soldiers that we're talking about today, are actually Poppy and Xena here.
If we're in control of it, that means that nobody can drop us. So it's probably for the best. Basically, everything has got to be off-grid.
Also, we do have some luck with chat. We found a way to get YouTube chat on screen, so...
No. This is so you can read this. This is so I can read it. And this is the one that's currently going to pop up when I go to segment.
I look like a ghost in the background of our videos right now. It's
because you chose to wear a white shirt and no bra.
Yeah, Schmegley, that's why I say that person, you know, using the classic Vosh defense on Poppy and Xena unwittingly brought up like a pretty good point. Like, right, there's been, you know, the same kind of credible there's been credible allegations like against Vosh, for instance. So yeah, I mean, like, although I feel like, you know, denying Poppy and Xena, you know, the sort of clout and reach that they've gained through their association with Vosh and with other streamers in the White Leaf Network, they're is a good thing in terms of, you know, exposing what they've done to more people in their community and preventing like more people from being victimized. Like, you could say sort of the same thing about Vosh too.
Do you? Okay.
What is wrong with you? No, it's because we stare this way.
No, I'm
like,
looking at this way. This is where you go. This is what
I don't.
Lesbot says, wait, let me make sure I'm getting this right. I think Xena identifies as he and him. Sort of. Okay, so like, do we have that confirmed? Because I do want to be using the right pronouns for people. Yeah, you're not wrong, Schmegley. You're not wrong.
Naturally look there because the faces are over on this screen with the movement.
there's two places now. Okay, I did the best I could.
Okay, Xena goes by they, them, A, and M. Thank you, Zara.
I had to change things because I got put in this corner, okay? The brawless ghost, yes.
Oh, I got one of the Tomboy X bras on.
Okay.
It's the white wood with like oh, it's really neat. It's actually like an optical illusion.
I always just forget about your huge boy melons.
And so it's got like a lot of like bent lines all together, and every other like diamond shape is, you know, part of the rainbow kind of thing. It's a really neat Tomboy X pattern.
I'm not a shopping list, I'm a ghost. Why don't you have our YouTube friends? I don't know. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Just type again, we'll see if you're in blue. Why is that up?
So, yeah, so it has been a really weird week.
Sassy, you would like Tomboy X then.
Yes, you would.
I'm in the same boat.
Yeah, so long story short is that the week has been really strange. The big things that have happened. One, we have been dealing with the loss of the website, which really sucks because the loss of the website means that we also lose Hey Laundry. It also means that we lose the ability to take
Donations.
donations to the site, and that means also subs. So if you would like to donate, the server is currently locked down except for new patrons, and those people will be vetted. The reason for this is
There's a large harassment campaign that is intent on basically trying to frame anyone that's in our server at the moment. By the way, there's 1,000 people in there. Like, that's a lot of people to try and deal with, but they seem bent on it, so here we are.
everyone else seems to have gone to hell, Mr.
I mean, everything that I've seen is a campaign to try to warn people in your server not to try to implicate people or go after people just for being part of your community.
Hidden, you have no idea. Well, and this kind of goes along with what we're doing. I know that Sage and Xena are calling it our island arc. I'm calling it containment. By that I mean is that we're just not interacting with the online left at this point.
Do you see how they go to the Vosh playbook? Do you see, this is straight out of the Vosh playbook, right? And it's not just Vosh. I mean, you've heard, like, you know, Chud do this. You've heard a lot of people do this, right? It's the goddamn online left. I swear to God, this online left is so toxic. It's the online left is just like, you know, you can't be trusted. It's the online left. They're always canceling people, right? That's why I thought it was weird when Malcolm acted like the online left or the, you know, queer community had problems calling out our own, right? If anything, usually the rap against the online left is that that's that we do, you know, too many call outs, or that we're, you know, not we don't use discernment in terms of, you know, which call outs are real and which ones are just interpersonal beef or drama that's gotten blown up. But, you know, in this case, I think it's pretty clear from what we've seen so far that this is not that. This is a real danger to their community, to the communities that are, you know, that are, you know, of other streamers that they've done content with before. This is, you know, this is not cancel culture, but they're going to go to that playbook. They're going to go to the cancel. How long until they imply that this is all Xena and Poppy derangement syndrome, ZPDS, right? Like the VDS, right? They're just like, this is the Vosh playbook. We're gonna see some of the Keffals playbook. We're gonna see some, you know, like just the same shit that you see from any of these people when they're called out.
The majority of them seem pretty much as reactionary as right-leaning people. They just seem to have better ideas. They do not enact those ideas, nor do they use them in their life. So there's no real point to engage with them unless we have a common goal. And that really comes down to short and midterm goals. I'm not talking long-term. The big issue here is that, like, the age of BreadTube and LeftTube, where, you know, shit was basically like a particular way and everything seemed kind of unified, that time has come and gone. And now there is a very large incentive for drama, a very large incentive for betrayal, backstabbing, etc., because there is a monetary and clout-based incentive for it. We talked about this in our video about No Flake and rape culture. And
There's also
I don't know what the fuck benefit No Flake could possibly be getting. They have a Twitter account. Like, I don't know. Are they like they're it's just weird to, like, they're clout chasing, right? Anytime I've tried to call any, like, lefty YouTuber to account, like, that's been the counter allegation. You don't really care about this. You don't really have a problem with this. You're clout chasing, right?
done a number of stuff on the tech side of things and how that affects dopamine in your brain and all that too.
Yep.
That's absolutely at play here.
So basically, long story short, is that you know, we're kind of changing the way we engage with things. Yeah, when Lindsay Ellis got chased off, I think that was a pretty good death knell. That was the beginning of our channel. And while we had some good times interacting with some people, I mean, pretty much everyone we've interacted with, except for pretty much Vosh, has, you know, been... Yeah, no, most communities are very tribalistic, and even the smallest disagreement on strategy or politics seems to...
Sarah, do you know what they said there? Anyone except Vosh has been...
seems to...
kind of got cut off there. It's not clout chasing when someone that is not a content creator voices criticism of someone. Yeah. And, like, you know,
drive people
wedges,
apart. Yeah. There's also just a lot of misinformation. There's also this tendency that I would think people on the left would be better at. And again, we'll talk about this more in another segment, but like people just believe.
and again, just so it's really clear, right? No Flake left Poppy and got accused of, I gotta try to say this in a way that the algorithm's not gonna hate, but got accused of being an R-ist, like the word that rhymes with grape, right? Ist, right? That's what happened, right? This wasn't something that, like, from what I've seen, Noah Flake was the one that was trying to turn this into a big deal. It was Poppy using her platform, using her clout, her ill-gotten clout that came from defending Vosh, that came from being involved in all these, you know, toxic communities, this kind of, you know, human centipede of clout where they're all circling the wagons constantly. They're, you know, unable to hear any criticism of anybody in the group. And unless it comes to the point where, like this, like it's for the survival of that group, right? To defend Poppy and Xena at this point would be harmful to the entire network of people. But
stuff. Like,
yeah, sorry to befoul grapes, Omega Star. That, like, I'm just trying to get around
someone hands you a document, and that document
the inevitable demonetization that I'm gonna receive here.
has a framing on it, and that framing is immediately accepted, and then people read it from that framing. And there's no real critical thinking. There's no seeking both sides. There's no willingness to understand things. And so this week has been really wild because there's a couple documents floating around about us. We'll talk about these more as time goes on, but one of them is about my relationship with...
There's now 3 documents.
Flake, in which a bunch of DMs are leaked, and the DMs basically paint us as a lot of like cherry-picked stuff to try to make my panic attack seem like I'm abusive or controlling or something. It's really nonsense. And the joke of it is that even if that document were accurate, which it's not, that doesn't erase what she did. It's not a counter argument. It's at best an addition to the story. But even if that was the case, that doesn't fit the narrative as to what happened. One of the things in there that's really interesting is there's this belief that we coerced her to come to the hotel we were at when there was a discussion Thursday to ask her to come, and then after that, when I said, "Hey, we're at the hotel in,"
so just to debunk what Poppy is claiming here, I've read the document. Noah wanted to break up with Poppy, and Poppy reacted to this by leaning on Noah hard, by guilting Noah hard. And I don't know what you want to call, like, you know, coming to a hotel in somebody's city, other than, like, you know, we've paid for this hotel, and, you know, I don't know. They wanted out of the relationship, and you can imagine why. You can imagine. It's not hard to imagine why at this point. And you know, essentially they were manipulated and leaned on and guilted by Poppy in order to, quote unquote, give it one more chance, right? They did. They, you know, were together at the hotel, and once Noah went through and broke up with Poppy, that was when the allegation was made by Poppy that that the, you know, that it was unconsensual because she, you know, the person that she guilted into being intimate with her was then broke up with her, and she had consented to be intimate with somebody, and by consented I mean, like, you know, kind of manipulated the person into being intimate with her, but she had done that understanding that they weren't going to break up, and then they did, right? And then that was weaponized against Noah. That's how this whole thing happened, through Poppy using her platform, which comes not from anything that not from what she's doing professionally, but from what she's doing online, in order to go after and smear and lie about Noah in, like, the worst way imaginable.
you know, the place where she lives, she said, "Yeah, I'm on my way over." There wasn't anything else. She could have just not shown up. She could have just not, and she did.
Well, and
then she was there the whole night. She could have left at any point.
there's a whole post with her going, "Oh, we knew there wasn't a chance in hell." Well, the thing is that he showed up with having asked her, "Okay, you want to try and work on this in person? Like, is that worth it?"
And ZZ said directly, You have a choice. In fact, we have that screenshot. It literally says, you have a choice.
Oh, I did that.
You have a choice. You were told you have a choice. What the fuck? What is that supposed to mean? How is that supposed to be make this any better? I told her she had a choice. Oh my god.
I did that a couple times. I really wanted to make sure that, like, she was
Sorry,
cool with
I've
this.
been having allergy issues like no other.
Yeah, no, I did that multiple times.
If she had a choice, then her saying, I want to break up with you and I don't want to be with you anymore and I don't want to, you know, do this would have been acceptable. Instead, she was berated over that, and you refused to let her make that choice, right? I mean, you could say that she could have just said, no, fuck you, Poppy, it's over, block, you know. That's true, but she did want to be done with the relationship.
Like, wanted to make sure. I don't mind giving people a second shot. If people say something out of anger and suddenly break up with you in anger, and that looks like a trigger, I don't mind checking back in with them again to make sure that that's accurate.
Now again,
That that's what they really genuinely feel overall, especially when it comes out of nowhere.
we'll cover this again if we decide to go over that document, but I wanted to show this real quick just because I want you guys to know if you go looking around the internet and you end up finding some nonsense on this, the reality is that, like, the people are just lying. And this isn't like me doing the typical content creator cover bullshit. It is literally, I'm sorry, they're lying.
Okay, let's read this. I lied about the sex stuff. I'm truly sorry for doing so. You were initiating. All right, that sounds important. In my mind, I still had feelings for you. Oh my God, you see what this is? This is the end of the relationship. This person still has feelings for Poppy, and is sort of cajoled into being with them, and that them initiating like this intimacy, and then after they part ways, and Noah feels safe to, officially break up, you accuse Noah of, well, this is the definition of SA via deception. Yo, do you know where this, like, where have you heard language like this? SA via deception, right? There was discourse about, like, trans people and whether not disclosing being trans was a form of deception, right? I mean, this is a really dangerous precedent, right? That if you tell somebody that you want to stay with them, and then you're intimate with them, and then you break up, like, have you done SA via deception? I sure as fuck hope not. The next day, my head started to clear up more. ZZ wanting to leave, myself having time to think and see how I was reacting to you, and the issues coming back. Yeah. So obviously there was issues in the relationship that made Noah not want to be in that relationship any longer. After expressing that she wanted to leave, she was, essentially debate broed into giving it, quote unquote, one last chance. I realized my feelings weren't there anymore. I had thoughts of, why am I even bothering? This was a mistake. I tried to force myself to love you still, but I couldn't find it. I'm so sorry, Poppy. I don't know how to make things better, even just to be friends. I don't know how I could possibly make up for the shit I put you through. Oh my God, you see what this is? This person is beating themselves up for breaking up with for breaking up with Poppy. And that's being weaponized by Poppy as some kind of, oh, there it is, SI via deception. God damn it. Like, this is, like, I don't know who you think you're exposing here, Poppy, but you're exposing yourself.
I know what my relationship with Noah was like, and it had a lot of issues. It also had a lot of good parts up until that last month. And if you notice, I did want to fix things. I wanted to work on things. I always felt like the few major issues we had were entirely too dangerous of topics to touch, despite them festering and just causing problems. There were many times we did get into a topic, and while it might have gotten messy, we came out fine, if not even better than before. I understand that, and I am sorry that I fell into the same mistakes multiple times. I was trying to be my best to either avoid them or work through them with you. Some things aren't easily fixed after just one conversation, after all.
This is somebody trying to let down gently, trying to be as kind as they can to somebody that they broke up with because they were miserable in this relationship. And their attempt to treat you in an empathetic way, I would say maybe too empathetic. I would say that they're taking on stuff that they're not really responsible for. And you're gonna fucking weaponize this against... God damn. Look, I don't know. I don't know.
With things in that way was and is still rather new to me. I'm sorry I kept hitting the same rakes. I
Oh
really was
my
working
God.
to be better about it. I did ruin Christmas. I
What's up, Jordan Peterson?
accept that, and that is entirely on me. I wanted to try and fix things. I really did want that. Everything became very real and very difficult, though, for me. My mind felt entirely scrambled, and I had to work my way back through that. And then there's stuff about, lied about the sex stuff, and then, you were initiating, and in my mind, I did still have feelings for you. I wanted to make you happy. I'm not blaming you for the record. I genuinely cared and wanted to make you feel amazing during that. So there's this
Yeah, like, look, Jules, you're right. Like, this feels like Darvo, right? And I know that term gets used so much that, like, I try to avoid characterizing things as Darvo. Darvo means deny, attack, reverse, victim, and oppressor. Is that right? I think that's what it stands for. The idea is, like, when somebody is doing something fucked up to you and they turn it around into being like, you're the one that did something fucked up. Like, they revert, like, you're getting abused, and your abuser turns it around into like, it's your fault, you did this, like, right? This is yeah, classic offender. Thank you, Lesbot. It's reverse victim and offender. But like, the reason that it's so hard to talk about Darvo is that, like, people who deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender are likely to also reverse the charge of Darvo. So it becomes like it's a useful way for victims of abuse to understand what's happened to them, but it's also, gets weaponized by the people doing the abuse too. Noah said, don't come, I can't do this. Z said, just try it. Noah said, I don't want to make things worse. Z said, you can't make things worse. This control was a nightmare. Yeah.
Going thing where supposedly I coerced her, but this goes directly against it. This is directly from her Twitter, or her Discord, excuse me.
And this is dated 12/27.
12/27/2023. This is literally 4 days after the day in question. So I just want you guys to know, like, before you dig through Twitter or any other place, please maintain critical thinking. If there are people who are just going to read these things and just leave because of them, please unsubscribe. Like, I'm serious, just unsubscribe.
And there's a quick claim I really want to address, because there's something that keeps getting pushed randomly that's kind of underground, but it's this weird accusation that Poppy and I have, like, requirements of other people that we don't have of ourselves. But here's the thing. It's okay not to have the same boundaries. Right?
Do you see what's being said there? Right? So we're talking about Poppy's requirement, or I don't know if it's a requirement or just like a pet peeve or what, but that the people that she's dating while she's polyamorous, people that she's dating not be with other people, that, like, it's essentially like a one-way polyamory. And I can't tell how much this is a demand or how much this is something that she's pushing for, but it is definitely inconsistent, and it's definitely not conducive to, like, a functioning stable, like, relationship.
Like, it's okay if two people do not have the exact same set of boundaries or a relationship. And no, I always make sure to ask people, hey, is there anything you need to talk about after this? You want to bring up is, what are your needs? What are your wants in a relationship? Poppy does too. She also asks people these questions. And frankly, we're kind of learning that one of the major red flags that we actually have to watch out for is when people don't answer those questions. People that don't answer them tend to be a lot of the ones who are freaking out later, making up lies, not really understanding consent or anything else.
Wait, that don't answer what question? Sorry.
To ask people, hey, but here's the thing. It's okay not to have the same boundaries. Right? Like, it's okay if two people do not have the exact same set of boundaries or a relationship. And no, I always make sure to ask people, hey, is there anything you need to talk about after this? You want to bring up is, what are your needs? What are your wants in a relationship? Poppy does too. She also asks people these questions. And frankly, we're kind of learning that one of the major red flags that we actually have to watch out for is when people don't answer those questions. People that don't answer them tend to be a lot of the ones who are freaking out later.
Sorry, I keep on zoning out. People that don't answer what questions?
And then spread bullshit about us to other people. Answer those questions.
you want to bring up is, what are your needs? What are your wants in a relationship? Poppy does too. She also asks people these questions. And frankly, we're kind of learning that one of the major red flags that we actually have to watch out for is when people don't answer those.
So when you don't answer the question about needs.
People that don't answer them tend to be a lot of the ones who are freaking out later, making up lies, not really understanding consent or anything else, and then spread bullshit about us to other people. So, no, this is a common thing that keeps happening.
Geez, this is a thing that keeps happening. This is a fucking Principal Skinner moment here. What is the Principal Skinner meme? Like is it me or is it the children? Like no, it's definitely. Yeah, it's this thing. Am I out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong, right?
Sucks, but like, the red flags we have to watch out for are like the really small ones nowadays. They're the really tiny ones.
Yeah, I mean, what I want you guys to understand here. Oh, thanks, appreciate it. I stole these from Zeta.
Which ones do you see?
These red ones? Oh, these are not the camis. These are just the red ones. Pants.
Oh yeah, no, both of those I think I've picked out colors.
No.
No, Poppy likes a lot of my clothes. My femme style geek Poppy. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I just want you guys to know that like when you're engaging with this stuff, if possible, to recognize that there are people who have incentives to talk about this. My only incentive is to tell the truth, right? And we'll be talking more about some of this stuff later. But again, I just kind of want to paint a picture because we're gonna go over this again, and I think it's really important to make it clear.
Stone Phantom P. I didn't even think about this, but yeah, Tim Pool has said something similar. You know what the problem is, though. It's not me. Like, Tim Pool, I can't remember what the whole context of that was. Also, it's totally important to address BPD and migraines, but not the kid's autism or POTS, because Poppy and Xena are the most important in all relationships. I mean, it's pretty clear, like, that we're going to get into the question of Spawn. So I might have to separate that out, chat. I got to be really, like, honest with you. Me doing 6-hour streams is not something that you can expect any longer, particularly on a day like this where I get demonetized. I can't do this, so I'm gonna have to cut it off at like just because essentially this has not been a good day for me, and this is this is important to cover, but I need to take care of myself too. And so I'm going to be cutting my, I'm going to be trying to shoot for 3-hour streams instead of 6-hour streams. I hope you don't mind, but at this level of support, I literally can't afford to keep doing this. So I'm going to have to cut this to part-time and, take up work elsewhere. And
to you that, there's a difference on the sides of it, right?
But here's how I'll try to break it up, because I do want to cover all this, right? And the stuff about Spawn is important too. We haven't really touched on Spawn. Spawn is the adult child of Poppy and Xena, child through marriage that Poppy was in, and Poppy's spouse died, and Poppy raised Spawn for most of Spawn's life. Spawn's now an adult, and up until fairly recently, I guess, was living with Poppy and Xena until it just became too much, and Spawn had to move out, and Spawn has got a story about why they had to move out.
I hate to frame it as sides, but that's the issue. There are people who, have a vested interest in, wanting to essentially take away my income, right? Like, I want to be really clear. My action was to come out.
A vested interest in taking away my income. So the implications being made here is like, people they hate me because they're fucking evil. They're out there like, this Poppy person looks like a good victim. Let me make up lies and take away their income. Or could it be because you hurt people that they care about? Or could it be because they're worried about you hurting other people? Or could it be because they're worried about, like, what kind? Could you imagine being this person's client? Like, look, Poppy, like, I want you to be okay financially. I want me to be okay financially. I want everybody to be okay financially, but not at the expense of, you know, the people that you've hurt, not at the expense of, you know, I mean, you can't, like, be safe in the context of a therapeutic alliance, which is like what, you know, a client and a therapist are supposed to form, right? It's supposed to be a therapeutic alliance to try to help that person. Like, I don't know how anybody can be expected to, you know, trust you like that. God, anyway.
And accuse No of sexual assault. Her action, along with someone who coordinated it, was to send letters to my work and scare my boss into firing me. Now, granted, there's this idea online going on where, like, my boss fired me because I'm supposedly a sex pest. This is cope. The reality is that
this is cope calling. I mean, look, like, I mean, what you did to know, it sounds like that's the, like, as Ethan Klein said, if the jacket fits, you must not acquit. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what else you want to call, like, pressuring somebody into being intimate to you that clearly not only does not want to be intimate with you, but doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. And you convince them to, let's, like, try one more time for us. Like, I don't know. This is so fucked.
The ultimatum was either I cease social media and the channel, or I will be let go. My answer was this violates my civil liberties as well as the handbook for my work.
Context wrench is putting as bring this up. Legit context. Z didn't even meet Spawn until Spawn was like 17. Yeah, good point. Took to micromanaging ASAP. Z didn't raise anyone. Okay, so yeah, if I implied that Xena and Poppy raised Spawn together, yeah, for most of Spawn's life, Poppy raised Spawn. And my button doesn't work.
Because I did not say the name of our practice, which is the violation in question, and I did not engage in harassment. I only asked people to block the person who sexually assaulted me. Thank you, MC Fallout, for $5. And so basically, long story short is that I want you to understand.
Spawn is Poppy's genetic child. No. Spawn is the child of Poppy's ex, or I shouldn't say ex, Poppy's partner who died when Spawn was very young. So Poppy was married to somebody who had a child from someone else that was Spawn, and this person that Poppy was married to, you know, tragically passed away, and Poppy raised Spawn. Yeah, sorry. Think, no, if you're needing clarification, then there's probably other people in chat that need that clarification too. So
we haven't painted any of our enemies as PDF files. We haven't tried to paint them as these, you know, awful, you know, every bad thing under the sun. All we have said is this is what this person did to me allegedly, right? Like, again, the issue is that
is Spawn their real name? No, Spawn is not their real name, and I'm purposefully withholding their real name because unlike Poppy and Xena, I respect their right to anonymity. I'm just trying to keep their identity. We're protecting the names of the innocent basically here. So Spawn is something that I think that they themselves came up with to refer to themselves as Spawn. If I'm not mistaken, it might be something that Malcolm came up with, But yeah, anything. I'm just basically trying to avoid anything that might divulge their real life identity, because, like I said, they're being talked about by their, you know, by their parents on social media, and Poppy is, when you start to hear bleeps, chat, that's when, you know Poppy is saying a name that that Zara was nice enough to edit out of this VOD, because I didn't want to show. That was what you would have seen this content yesterday, but for the fact that it's I didn't want to go forward and react to this in a way that would divulge Spawn's real name, or this is.
These people are willing to go as far as they want to do as much harm. I'll give you an example. Don't spill. Flavor Red Bull.
Yeah, we're definitely not talking about Spawn from. Is Spawn from the DC or the Marvel universe? I don't even know. Poppy says the kid's name over 135 times. Damn.
I'm not going to say who this person is because we'll do that for another time. But I do want you to understand something that is very wild. By the way, trigger warning for childhood sexual abuse. Okay, so check this out. I just want you guys to see this. This is the crap that we have to deal with. And again, we can talk more about this, but this is just malicious, right? So this person decided to write Poppy Diabolique, that's me. Didn't you, your cousin, for like 3 to 4 years, because I remember you bragging about your relationship with your minor cousin when you were 15 or 17. You know, after you sent me that thing. Adding blackmail to the... So here's the thing. This never happened. I don't even know what this person is referencing. Like, to give you insight into this, like, understand, you're being lied to. Ideas of Gord? Yeah, no. I'm not going to cover that person because, again, we're not going to respond or interact. I will say that I don't take the opinions of transmeds seriously. And I have a feeling that like that there's probably a lot of leftover whatever from
a video that we did about male socialization.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So you can watch that. Again, I'm not playing.
Wait, are they accusing Courtney Orchard of being? Who are they accusing of being transmed? I'm trying to figure out. Chat's talking about Courtney Orchard and
in the politics. I'm not going to jump into this. We're not going to do a segment on anything that person says because I won't.
Same here, yeah.
I don't play in the mud with children, so cool. But I do want to point this out because this does bother me. So I'm going to be really, really candid with you guys. Okay, heads up. So based on my therapy, I know of at least 2 times where I was a victim of CSA. The first one was most likely due to my cousin Andy, who was in his 20s. I don't have any memory of that, but there's a lot of stuff around it that basically points at it, including us suddenly moving away to another city, me and my mom, and why a family member decided to set that house on fire with him inside it. When I talk about trauma, let me be really clear. I also know that one of my female cousins at 7 did something to me at 5 because she was reenacting what was done to her by a family friend. Now, I've worked through most of this, at least the second one. The first one I'm still processing, but that's probably what this person who used to know me is referencing. Now, as to this reference about this particular type of prawn, you know what? Because I don't mind taking hits, because your mom is very good at just kind of owning her shit, like I always have. Did I send something like this to this person? Sure. It was a comic called Saturday Mornings by Black Kitten. It is a very well-written story that happens to have 2 siblings getting together. They are both 18, and it is actually really sweet story.
Super whole.
Yeah, no shit.
the reference is to Malcolm as transmed. Is there any reason? Are they just like? She admits it. So wait, no. Like this is okay. Wait, why? I don't know why they're calling. I'm assuming that's like not supported by any facts, right? Context wrench. She admits it. Wait, the more the more Poppy speaks, the more I hear Tim Pool. Why is oh, in terms of that does not sound like a sweet story. Yeah, like, wait. I'm trying to figure out what chat is saying.
Like, no harm. The person in question here, I have screenshots of, directly stating to me that they share this particular thing.
Similarities in the cadence of speech that Poppy and Temple both use on stream.
Though they've tried to do a bunch of cope and pretend they didn't. Yeah, see, someone knows freaking Black Kitten.
It's funny because it seems like, if anything, like, I mean, the cadence is reminding me of Demon Mamas, and both the, you know, because your mama is good at owning things, right? That, like, a lot of like the aesthetics of their streams seem to have been pilfered from Demon Mama, but I see what you're saying about the, I don't know. Malcolm stated that he thought they were calling him transmed. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why they. I mean, like, it might just be the thing, like, you know, when Keffals has issue with anybody, or anybody calls Keffals out, she tends to be like, "Oh, you're with the, you know, Kiwi farmers." So it might be like a similar thing of.
No, Monday mornings through Saturday mornings is so good. Yeah, it's sweet. Foxy Degenerate, right? It's so good. It's so good.
Right? Yeah, no. I've read a decent amount of it over Poppy's shoulder during migraines.
So, try not to spam emotes in the chat, otherwise it will time stuff out, guys. Yeah, you're allowed to explore whatever you want in fantasy. Like, again, like, I don't give a shit. We've said this before. Thought control is lame. This is why we hate the shipper debate, because it's basically just nonsense. But I want you guys to understand this, because this is like a quintessential version of what these people do, right? Yes, Shelter 42 Luna. Yes, this is what this is. It is a comic about two 18-year-old siblings who happen to form a relationship.
Wait, so is that what she sent Courtney Orchard?
And double down on it and end up getting kicked out of their dad's house. And it's actually like a really difficult story. There's no coercion. There's no harm. It's just a story. And you can like it or not like it. You can be down for it or not. That's your call. But this is the stupidity we deal with. This person stated that they wanted to read this, which is why I gave it to them. They also said they shared that kink.
Okay, so they're claiming that Courtney Orchard said that they were into that. You know, this is Courtney Orchard, who came on their stream to divulge a abusive experience that they claim to have had, you know, imposed on them by their sister Lily Orchard, the, you know, the big YouTuber, the animation YouTuber Lily Orchard. And Poppy is now claiming that Courtney asked for the link to the comic, that, you know, the incest, familial incest themed comic. Jesus Christ, chat.
But notice this. So we're going to make up something carte blanche out of a thing I told someone confidential about, you know, about confidentiality, because this person in question is also a survivor of CSA. So we were, you know, dealing with that together. Cousin siblings as in their parent. No. They're just siblings. My cousin is never mind. It's fine. Well, Poppy, have you considered being guilty of existing while kinky? True. I am guilty of that. But this is what these people do. They take a nugget of truth.
True.
And then they build this elaborate fan
True. Yeah, see the Demon Mama influence?
fiction around it. And this is the shit we've been dealing with. It's a form of Gish Gallop. Right? Like, it's a Gish Gallop. And for those who don't know what that is a type of informal fallacy where you basically just throw out claim after claim after claim after claim after claim. And by the time the person has debunked the first one, you're still like 10 or 20 claims already in. So it just overwhelms them. A really good example of this is Rob Noor. If you've ever watched AA, he's already in, right? But this is what these people do. They take a nugget of truth.
Who's Gish
Have
Galloping?
you considered being guilty of existing while kinky?
Wait, does anybody understand who she's accusing of Gish Galloping? And yeah, like, Rob Noor is a classic Gish Galloper, but like, who they're not talking about Rob Noor. They're talking about somebody else, and they're saying that they Gish Gallop. Is it really Gish Galloping if multiple people have legitimate claims or issues? Well, yeah, like, Gish Galloping is like, if I was making an argument to you, right, and I talked about, like, I brought up 10 things that you can't, that you're not going to have time to debunk, right? You're not going to have, like, the ability to go through and then, like, this one's untrue because of this one's, so you got to choose like 3 things, right, that you can, clap back at, right? That's called a Gish Gallop. Like, it's a basic debate tactic. It's bad faith, and yeah, Rob Noor does use those. Poppy's saying that the people who have issues with her are doing a coordinated Gish Gallop. That is wild. There's no such thing as a coordinated Gish Gallop. That is just you being a messy bitch. Okay, I have to say it. That's what that is. You got a lot of problems, and there's a lot of people calling you out for a lot. You've done a lot of harm to a lot of people, and the chickens are coming home to roost. That's not a Gish Gallop. That's not the same as Rob Noor listing off 10 different transphobic tropes. I'm sorry, Poppy, but this is a misuse of that term.
True, I am guilty of that. But this is what these people do. They take a nugget of truth, or two, and then they build this elaborate fan fiction around it. And this is the shit we've been dealing with. It's a form of Gish Gallop, right? Like, it's a Gish Gallop. And for those who don't know what that is a type of informal fallacy where you basically just throw out claim after claim after claim after claim after claim. And by the time the person has debunked the first one, you're still like 10 or 20 claims already in. So it just overwhelms them. A really good example of this is Rob Noor. If you've ever watched a debate panel with Rob Noor, I think his name is Rob Noor. He's the king of Gish Gallop. I don't mean
such a weird reference too.
Not as a compliment at all. Want to be clear? It's a bitch tactic. A proper argument should be you make a claim, the person refutes. You make, they then make a claim, you refute. Like, there should be. This is.
There's a flow that goes.
This is bowling. There are rules,
right? Well, and then we also deal with a bunch of people who know the truth on a number of topics, but then still act like they don't, or made other decisions about what they think about the truth later, based on their own feelings.
Well, yeah, like, for example, Hella Vitrum used to be a friend of ours and a former partner. Hella decided to, leave us, which is fine. She was allowed to do that. We were a little surprised because it came out of nowhere after 2 weeks of silence when I was in the hospital. And this is when I had my vaginoplasty. And basically what ended up happening was, just for FYI, is that, despite the fact that Hella was around when all the stuff with Sage happened, and she knows the truth, in fact, she was on the phone with us with Sage when Sage was in the hospital, like, at our house. Like, Hella was here, and we were here, and we were all on the phone with Sage together.
Yeah, and she was also in the meeting when we're starting to piece out what had happened. Ghost had come forward with more information.
And long story short is, what she ended up doing is, she decided to go over to the other side, because she started dating someone on it, and I don't remember the order of operations there, but that was a thing. And what the frustrating part is, to this day, she's sharing on Tumblr the hate blogs, literally spreading misinformation about a situation she was there for. So, like, I want to understand that, like, here's what I think happened. And maybe we will turn this into a segment. Maybe we'll kind of talk about how this stuff seems to come about. What I think happened is this. I think these people...
The other side, I'm guessing she means the people that are calling her out, right? That's the other side. Oh my god. Does she think that there is a sectarian conflict of her exes and the victims, like Scott fucking Pilgrim? Yeah.
Are a number of old friends and partners who had some kind of interpersonal conflict with me. I'm not gonna lie, at all. My relationships don't usually end great. Borderline's a bitch, okay? But these are interpersonal conflicts. ZZ has seen every one of them. These are basically just interpersonal conflicts. They ended, they're whatever. But what these people do is they get together, they start sharing their stories, and then they all convince one another that this is somehow harm. They escalate offense to harm, and then call it abuse, and then they work as a coordinated effort to then start going after you. And the problem is, once you start a few pebbles down the hill, you soon have a rock slide. Because the issue is that the pebble doesn't take responsibility for the rock slide. But that's what happens. Because
okay,
as
so
time goes
this
on,
is like coming out of the Lindsay Ellis discourse, right? In terms of Lindsay Ellis leaving the internet.
Their movement gains momentum. And where before, the idea of going after my job was unthinkable, now that's just a walk in the park. Going after my home, like threatening my actual physical existence. They don't have a problem with this. Sharing nonsensical documents that are just cherry-picked Discord event logs, we'll get to it. These people will just do. Like, they'll just do it. And so the thing is that what I want you guys to understand...
Look, I mean, I'm not somebody that always jumps to a conclusion based on the idea that there are a whole bunch of people saying that this person's bad and there's nobody defending them. I think there are situations, particularly like when when somebody makes an allegation against somebody who has a lot of friends, where all of this person's friends will come out and, you know, I'm thinking of, you know, in an instance of SA or something like that, there where, you know, nobody wants to believe that their friend is like a horrible person, right? So you will have groups of friends all defending somebody that they know that they've never seen do something like they're being accused of, but in essence, essentially what they're doing is ganging up on the victim, right? Like, so I'm not somebody that, like, you know, is gonna make like an argument ad, what is it called, argument ad populum. But this is not that. This is multiple people having experienced separate instances of abuse from the same person.
And is that right now is a really rough time because I'm still looking for work and I am, you know, having to speak to numbers of people. For example, I'm not going to say where, but I know for a fact that our home has been doxxed. And I don't mean like attempted dox like it was with Rudy. Fun.
It's okay.
Hey, Fun. No. Fun.
Don't need to come.
I love you, Bun. But like, here's the thing. Yeah, they treat us as an Avengers level threat. But like, this is what I want you guys to understand. Fun. Fun doesn't like Rudy either, I agree. But unlike Rudy, who couldn't actually find us, instead just spent like 4 hours on a stream talking shit and going over Google Maps and roughly trying to locate us. Well, that wasn't even close. But the joke is that we've actually been potentially doxxed. And here's the thing I want you to realize is that what goes into that. For example, you know...
Again, now we're getting Keffals vibes, right? Keffals was doxxed. Keffals' family was doxxed. Keffals got swatted, okay? Really fucked up shit happened to Keffals from some really bad people. Does that mean that none of Keffals' victims deserve to be listened to? No. Does that mean that the harm that Keffals caused wasn't really harmed? Does that mean that the lies that Keffals told were acceptable? No. Being a victim does not make it impossible for you to be like a like a perpetrator, right? This is but again, do you see what I'm saying? Like, they're not just part of this Vosh Keffals clout network, right? They have learned the tricks of the trade from Vosh and Keffals, and they are now repeating the same moves that they've seen Vosh and Keffals do to get out of culpability for some really awful shit. Like, right? And look, the Vosh network owes, like, there's some culpability there too, in terms of building these people up, giving them the clout that they're now using to go after like an ex-lover. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, right? In a lot of ways, they've synthesized the worst of the Vosh network. And I don't know how else to say this, but this is the problem with leftist debate bros. There's a fundamental contradiction there. And, you know, just like with democracy and capitalism, right? You've got a fox in a hen house kind of situation where democracy is the hen house, capitalism is the fox. You can't have those two things together. The incentives of debate culture, of blood sport debate culture, which comes from Nazis, okay? Like, it was pioneered by people like the Killstream. The inherently pull it towards the reactionary, inherently pull it towards the weaponization of this kind of content towards, you know, protecting somebody that's done something really fucked up. Somebody that's really hurt somebody. And like, Vosh is kind of patient one when we talk about not this Poppy, but the other Poppy, the Poppy that that Vosh harassed on Destiny's server. Like, right, he never paid the consequence. He was never truly accountable about that situation. He gave a half-assed bullshit apology only after he was unable to chase this person off the internet, only after he was unable to silence this person, only after he was unable to dodge responsibility by changing his name from Irish Laddie to Vosh. That's why he's called Vosh, by the way. You know, he was initially called Irish Laddie, and he changed his name in order to run from something really fucked up that he'd done, from somebody that he hurt and didn't want to really face true accountability for. And I feel like that was the thing in all the Ethan Klein stuff and all the horse stuff. That was the stuff that got shortchanged, including by me. And I really apologize for it. But as you can see right now, I intended to be on stream for no more than 3 hours today. All right. Without like, you know, more, you know, like I've got to gauge the amount of content that I do by the amount of financial support that I get. And when I have a day like this where I get demonetized and I'm essentially working for free, I need to be cutting it a lot shorter. So what ends up happening is like I only do these streams as long as I do, because like I set out to like say this is the content that I'm gonna cover, and I'm like, this should take like 3 hours at most. No, it takes 6 hours. It takes 6 hours, and I'm doing it for 6 hours. So instead of working for 3 hours for free, I'm working for 6 hours for free, chat. But I feel like it's important work. I don't feel like it doesn't feel right to cut this stuff off. It doesn't feel right to shortchange this. And I honestly, there was content pertinent to Vosh and the Poppy situation that I didn't cover in terms of Destiny's interaction with Vosh about that. One of the few good things that Destiny's ever done was calling Vosh out over this. I don't know what changed Destiny's mind and made him want to, you know, work with Vosh again after that. And also Vosh's own eventual admission of what he did, and like the fucking bullshit, you know, excuse that rested on, the you know, the bullshit apology that he offered when he was backed into a corner, right? This is something that I don't think has ever been fully explored or a story. This is a story that needs to be told, especially when you've got Vosh orbiters, when you've got Vosh foot soldiers like this doing the same thing, learning the worst possible lessons from Vosh. Like, does Vosh sometimes say some good things? Yeah. Like, I'm not going to disagree with Vosh when he says trans rights. That's great. I'm glad that he's not a total chud, but it doesn't make like the people he's victimized like any less of victims, right? And the problem is when you start to see somebody as an end in and of themselves, when you start to look at somebody like Vosh as like this messianic figure, that he is the only, how do we deal with all these like right-wing chuds out there? With a left-wing debate, bro. And it was going to be Destiny until Destiny decided he really doesn't like leftism and he's not on, you know what I mean? Until Destiny decided he'd rather punch left, right? And then you're like, what do we got? We got Vosh. You got Vosh who's basically cribbing you know, Destiny's style to a large extent, right? And people like his sysadmins start to think of him as a good in of himself, and they start to justify covering up the people that he's hurt, covering up the things that he's done, doing anything they can to preserve the viability of a career for this guy, despite all the harm. And you're seeing it repeat itself in this insular little cult-like community of Poppy and Xena.
And we do mean the full definition of dox.
Like,
okay?
your address and real name.
Yeah, and not like the, just this tiny part of my identity got, you know, yeah, I'm sorry, your first name does not count as doxing.
No, legally or otherwise, just saying. But this is what I need you guys to understand, is that, so this happened, right? This is the thing. And what I think is really important is that you understand like what goes into that. So when you have a group of people actually dox you, the thing you have to do is contact your credit bureaus and freeze your account so no one can actually steal your identity.
Because it's incredibly easy to do right then.
So they can't take out loans or anything. And then you have to then contact your local police and have an alert put on your account so they A, don't swat you, and B, know that something's going on so they can come to your house if there's a problem. We also had to do that with the Michigan FBI. So understand that like this is stuff that like we had to kind of call on and deal with in the middle of our lives and all this. Yeah, this is the stuff that we were talking about. This is why I wanted to talk specifically just about No last stream.
Look, Sam Cedar might be somebody that's kind of weird to bring up that doesn't really fit. You know, you don't think of Sam Cedar as a leftist. And you know, like the the comment that somebody made about him, like that Sam Cedar's there the whole time and people, you know, are looking to Vosh. I mean, first of all, we don't need like a singular figure. I think Sam would be the first one to tell you that it's not about a figure, it's not about personalities, it's about a movement. But like the reason that I don't think that Sam's like an inappropriate person to bring up when it comes to leftism is that Sam has made the transition, the political transition that I think a lot of us have made, like since Occupy, since Bernie. Sam has come to a lot of the realizations that electoral politics and, you know, the Democratic Party, although there is an argument to be made for sure for like harm reduction, and you know, like when voting for a shitty Democratic candidate when it keeps Donald Trump from getting into office is, you know, it's kind of like what you have to do. You got to start looking beyond that horizon. When Sam platformed people like Michael Brooks, platformed people like Jamie Peck, platformed people like Emma, and you know, Bender, like, right? I feel like we're kind of on this like journey together, and yeah, he does sort of represent something that I think transcends like Democratic Party politics.
Because that in and of itself is just one microcosm of a larger issue, and no join to these people. Please remember that this person was my girlfriend. We were in a relationship. I was one of the two people she was considering living with. She can lie about that now, but I've got the screenshots. She probably won't release them. I'll have to. But the reality is that she basically claimed that, like, I'm a stalker, when in reality it was we were in a relationship and then she just ended things suddenly and then decided to...
My understanding is that they were in a Discord relationship. I don't know if they met more than once. I'm not entirely sure. And you know, people say a lot of things over Discord. She obviously didn't want to be in a relationship. She obviously didn't want to be intimate, and she was pushed into those things. And when after that happened, she decided that this wasn't a relationship she wanted to be in, you tried to turn that into like a grotesque allegation against her. What's a Discord relationship? I'm talking about like an online relationship. Not to like, look, a lot of people do find you know, their partner, or you know, people partners, you know, on in an online situation, and I don't want to denigrate that at all, but I feel like from what I've heard, Poppy's overstating the seriousness of the relationship, and also overstating Noah's investment in the relationship. Yeah, like long distance relationship conducted via Discord DMs and voice chat. And look, that, like I'm saying, I'm not trying to denigrate that at all. I know a lot of people who have met, you know, the love of their life through Discord, and I don't want to denigrate that at all, right? But I also don't want to exaggerate, which I feel like Poppy's doing here. The I don't know.
Lie and decided to, you know, violate consent. The issue is that because our relationship was happening during some of these harassment campaigns, we had conversations about this. She knows about them, or knew about them. And what I said to her was, even if we ever break up, please just don't join these people. Just once, please don't join these people. What did she do? Join these people.
I want to be clear, too. One of the common tactics is that these people, the harassment campaign people will use, is that they will start contacting people around you.
But the fact that these people were out there is a result of people that you've hurt. And then apparently you hurt Noah too, and then you attacked Noah. Like that's not like, right. Not only was she super pushy on Noah, not only did she, you know, kind of push Noah into a situation that she didn't want to be in, into staying in a relationship after she wanted to be out of it, but then like Noah gets blamed for leaving that relationship. Yeah, if anybody pushed Noah into the arms of those people, as you say, Poppy, it's you. You pushed Noah there.
And then going, hey, you should know this thing about this person. And then they will reach out, and they will also try to start claiming that they're trying to help, they're safe, they're X, Y, and Z, they know what you're going through, and they'll be there for you. And yeah, this happened a number of times by a variety of people so far.
T-Man, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. My condolences to both of you. I wish you both a fast recovery from this tribulation. If I may ask, where can I find that webcomic you mentioned? Yiffer.xyz.
They're talking about the familial incest themed webcomic. That's what Poppy's talking about.
Probably the best place to find it. Yiffer. Y-I-F-F-E-R? Yeah. Oh, thank you for subscribing. We've lost a ton.
Cute.
I don't know if you guys are aware, but our channel has lost a lot of subscriptions. So far it's like 250. And my best answer is good riddance. Xena, that's crazy because that's the tactic cults use. Yeah.
And yet we get called the cult. And I have screenshots of people going around doing this shit. Like, I have them. We have the evidence. We sit on so much evidence. And, like, the thing is having once already been the victim of somebody posting, like, shit tons of screenshots of your DMs, it sucks. Like, it's a massive invasion of privacy that really, really fucks with you. And I
like, you've got lolicons modding your freaking chat. Don't tell me you're not the fucking cult, okay?
To do that to anyone else. But I'm sitting here, and we're getting more and more abuse and more, like, criticism.
Ghostly Playface, thank you so much for $2. Yeah, we appreciate that.
You know, and then more and more shit. We have to defend ourselves to more and more stuff. More and more people drop off because they suddenly believe these docs without ever having talked to us, even though that they could. Even people close to us who know us really, really well won't hear our side, don't want to hear it, and just dip. And then we're like, oh, we didn't even know that you had an issue or you knew anything, or that, like, you were holding on to information that, like, you should have brought to us.
Well, and one of the things that's been really sucky about this situation is that a lot of people we trusted and thought were way better at this have all folded. Like, I'm not going to go into names, but there are former friends of the channel who, like, had emotes in our website and on our chat, or in our Discord, or people who were regular guests who, at this point, I don't know if they just took their stupid pills or what, but the fact that they believe these things, like, don't get me wrong, I've looked at these documents. They're shittily put together, out of order, and there are a lot of whining. Often with a lot of stuff that is just out of context, or resolutions aren't really posted, or as a person venting in a Discord vent channel and that's being taken as gospel.
Or they're just regular conflicts that happen.
And the issue is that these people do this, and again, the only thing I can say is that it's active maliciousness. I don't think it's them being stupid. I don't think it's them being dishonest. I do think it's them being dishonest. I don't think they're being dishonest to themselves. I think what it is they don't like us, or didn't like the way I handled coming out about my...
I think you're used to being able to control people, and you're coming up against people that you can't control.
Assault. And this is what they do.
You're losing your grip on the situation, and you're finding out that you can't force people to believe your bullshit reality. And you're get used to it, because there's going to be more and more people in your so-called, community that are going to be waking up to that, okay? Like, at this point, you should be thinking more along the lines of an apology than trying to defend this bullshit and doubling down on this bullshit. But you understand why they don't. They've seen the example of Vosh and Keffals get away with shit time and time again. They've seen people beat the fucking allegations that they never should have beat, because there's this fucking clout human centipede out there. There's this group of you don't have access to Whiteleaf anymore. You don't have access to the Vosh Clout network anymore. They have fucking dropped you. They're doing what they're doing. They are able to lie to people, through this sort of, human clout centipede, right? Through this, like...
So this is the thing I'm just asking you guys. I'm not saying you guys have to stay. I'm not saying you have to keep being members of the community. I'm not saying you have to, stay subbed. If you never want to look at us again, that's okay. I'm not going to hold anybody here. What I will say is this, though.
Like, this is the second time that we've heard this idea of, like, you're free to go. You're free to do what you are. Yeah, why would you say that? Yeah, of course you are. Yeah, you're free to go. You're free to, to chat. You're free to, you can stay subscribed. You can choose not to subscribe and follow. Literally, people can make their own choices, of course. I'm not going to remind you of that fact, because I feel like you know that. I don't know what the fuck the purpose of that is, right? Other than some kind of weird, mind fuck.
Before you choose to do anything, my only request is that you try to understand both sides of any given conflict. We've talked about this in the past, even in situations that were clearly one-sided. We still try to make sure we understand both sides of the situation. Even when allegations have come out against other much larger content creators, we still try to understand them. And the reason for that is that it's a big deal It's a big deal to try to understand how these situations come about. And I believe, truthfully, and I'm just going to be really clear about this, my behavior online, not even speaking for ZZ, just me, my behavior online is sometimes spicy. A lot of my accounts are not safe for work because I'm a degenerate furry.
You're just missing a ukulele, Poppy. You're literally just like, you know, Miranda sings, that girl's PG-13. Some of my tweets are spicy. Like, this is fucking straight out of the Colleen Ballinger playbook here. How did that work out for Colleen?
But I don't think I've ever done anything to warrant this pushback. I don't think I've warranted anything that required people to find my real life job and lose it.
I want to be clear too, like, if there is something we need to own, the best we can to own it. Let's know this. There are times where we don't always make it public because
My God, you have had like more than a year on some of this stuff to fucking own it. You have shown zero interest in that.
you know, gaps between, well, we would rather keep it there, but we do try to be upfront for the ones that mess up. And you know what? Like, we do have logs of stuff that we've dealt with. We have public statements that we've put out. There's stuff in the announcements channel in the Discord if you really need to go find something. There are plenty of videos detailing trauma that Poppy and I have both gone through on this channel.
Not to mention,
Like, it's very easy to figure out where we've been.
I'm not going to name anyone, but I will say this. There have been a number of people who are close friends of me who did the right thing, and that is they are friends or acquaintances that came to me and asked about these things. One of them today was a really close friend of mine who had seen this stuff. Thank God that this person heard me out and listened. Why are you two so evil and abusive? You know, that's a wonderful question. Goodbye.
And like, seriously, if you really think that like comments like that are gonna work, like, how does that help anyone?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Like,
do you think that helps? No? Do you think that helps like Vaughn? Do you think that do you think this actually like is justice? Yeah, I mean, what that person just posted in here is just abusive. They're not trying to help. They're not trying to make anything in here. I'm actually gonna make them Mike N. You are just a person who gets off on doing harm. You could have come in and asked questions. You could have done any number of things to try to enlighten yourself and actually try to hear both sides of a perspective. And instead, you just came in and acted like an idiot, and now you're hidden from the channel forever. Like, that doesn't, I don't lose anything from that. I don't lose any sleep over hiding you from the channel and never hearing from you again. But you did nothing. Like, you were up there with those like Kiwi farmers and 4chaners that like post like, oh, you'll never be a woman, you'll never have ovary, like literally the same copy pasta every time. If you want to know what the fuck these situations are, I have no problem giving you the information, like I did the people who were in my DMs, and you make an educated decision. Simon, I agree. All of this did need to be private. And the reality is all I wanted to do was make it public of what happened to me when I figured it out. Honestly, if no would have actually acknowledged what happened, reached out, and us to talk about the situation.
The person you accused of rape. Right? So one of two realities, Poppy. This person is a rapist. In which case, you shouldn't be trying to bargain with them. Alright? Or two, you fucking called your victim a rapist as a form of strike back. Right? And given the fact that you were rationalizing, if Noah had just come to me and talked to me and said, hey, you know, don't fucking call me a rapist on social media just because I broke up with you, then maybe we could have worked out some agreement and be like, you know, like you stay with me for like this many more months and I promise, like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about at this point, but I can't take your accusations seriously. You called Noah a rapist. You blasted that out all over social media using the clout you got from Whiteleaf, using the clout you got from Vosh. You misused the fuck out of your platform. Are you surprised now that people do not want you to have a platform? Are you surprised that people see you as a vector of harm? Are you surprised that people are getting together to try to defend themselves? Including your victim who you literally fucking darvoed? And now you want to say, well, if Noah just come to me and talked about this, then, you know, like, oh my God, if Noah is what you said that she is, then you shouldn't want to talk to this person. This is a dangerous, bad person. Obviously, that's not true. And obviously you lied. You owe Noah an apology. Noah doesn't need to come to talk to you and like, you know, fucking bend the knee to you and come to your terms. You need to fucking apologize. And guess what? After what you've done, you shouldn't expect that apology to be accepted. All right? I don't know what to say, chat. This is bad. This is cursed.
I would have been fine retracting at least.
You were gonna retract the accusations of SA? Either they had that happened or it didn't. That's not, you're admitting that you're weaponizing it. I don't know what else to take this as, right? Holy shit.
Part of it and saying like, look, we're talking about it. This is what happened. But again, I have no intentions of seeking, criminal action. Like, I just wanted her to acknowledge what she did. And instead she just threw out weird ass allegations and lies. And now is trying to reframe the entire relationship, despite the fact that like just the DMs and the conversations and the videos we had together just don't support this. Like, they just don't. So, this is kind of the follow-up of this. And unfortunately, this is the stuff we've got to cover because this is the stuff that's happening. This is discourse. So the format for tonight, by the way, is going to be, we'll probably finish this up, and then what we're probably going to do is we're going to cover a segment or two, and then we got something to talk about with this stuff that's more specific. So hang in there, all right? Probably shouldn't be as long as the last one.
Your best.
But we're not going over receipts tonight.
Well,
We're just talking. We'll be doing receipts another time because that shit takes time to get together.
I do want to be clear, like, the people coming after us know that we've doxed. Like, I do need to make that utterly.
This is so wild. This is so wild. You're going so hard in the stream, and you're at the outset telling us that we don't have the receipts together. We don't have any. We don't have anything officially like to push back with. But trust us. Those are coming. And God damn, this is just unbelievable.
People already know that the harm is happening. They already know that we are a target.
And they're still going at it.
Farms, and they're still going at it. And this is so common on the left. Anyone who's been around the YouTube sphere for a while knows anytime Kiwi farmers find blood in the water, they will just come. They do every single time. And they escalate everything and make it all worse. And then we wonder.
Okay, so here's the deal. They will. That's true. Especially when you say those words. Like they're talking about the Fruit website. Okay. And they're also going to talk about their adult child, right? Who they're expressing concern that is going to be a target, right? They're talking about Noah, who they're expressing like there's blood in the water. Those people are going to come. No, they're especially going to come if you fucking say their name. It's almost like you are trying to use them as a threat to get people to just shut up and go silent because, oh my God, the fucking farmers are going to be out for us. Yeah, especially if you talk about the fucking farms. What are you doing? Well, if this is really something that you want to avoid, which you should, because yeah, that's a far right place of abuse and harassment and who knows what, then you need to not speak those words in connection to this situation. You're saying there's blood in the water and you're throwing chum out there like you're the fisherman from Jaws. You're like, be really careful. There's blood in the water. Here, let me throw out some more chum here. What do you expect to happen? Oh my God, this is terrible.
Wait, why the f does everyone on like the YouTube sphere fucking trauma? Guess what? This cycle just keeps on fucking going. There is no limits and no lines. And
why does everyone on YouTube experience so much trauma? In part because of people like you.
Gives a shit because, they personally aren't, responsible for the consequences because other people did that or other people escalated. But no, if you're the one.
Because you called somebody a rapist for breaking up with you. Right? And look, what's your reaction? No, she should have just shut up and stayed quiet about it. No, she shouldn't have to fucking take that shit from you.
Adding to it, no, you've got some culpability in there.
Honestly, Simon, you said Pyrocynical is a furry degenerate and people like him still, so what's the big deal? I'll be honest, I think it's a combination of the blood in the water idea. That is, one person strikes a hit and then everyone shows up. But I also think it is a combination of that along with another factor. 90% of these claims are always about me. And so here's the thing that's wild. Is that I genuinely think a lot of this just comes from just transphobia.
Well,
Specifically, in my case, transmisogyny.
Absolutely.
Because what I've noticed is the people who come at us, there is a subtle way in which, or not so subtle way, that they just come out after us, and they come out after me, and again, it's any action I take is somehow bad. So if I act spicy, I'm not acting like a therapist. I'm bad. If I post something that's not safe for work, I'm being bad. If I make an argument about, hey, it'd be cool if I wasn't assaulted, that's bad.
Irritable sometimes. That's horrendous and bad.
Like, I'm not saying I'm an easy person to get along with. I'm not. Like, I don't think I am. But the idea that I'm somehow abusive or terrible, I don't accept that. I don't. And the reality is that these people are never going to convince me of such.
So just for anybody who's joining us late, on the left we have Poppy Diabolique, she, her pronouns. On the right, we have Xena, they, them, am pronouns, and is non-binary. So just to
like, unalived, is that honestly, when I come out of my own like self-hating fugue, I do realize that like this stuff just isn't true. These people are accusing me of things that like, honestly, like are so exorbitant and like I guess extreme that like there's no way my brain can grab onto them and ever like gaslight myself into thinking I've done them. Like for
there's 200 pages of logs.
example, with my trauma as a child, did I reenact that? Sure, with a girl that was my own age. I've since spoken to her twin sister, and we've buried the hatchet through that intermediary. But the reality is that like when that happened, that got out of school. I ended up being a pariah for several years, barely had any friends, and from there I got real good about consent because why? I never wanted to be treated like that again. I'm not saying I haven't fucked up.
And I gotta be honest, this was a like
It was a kid doing it.
like, these were children where adults utterly failed them to actually take any of the proper steps that should have happened. So yeah,
This what exactly? I'm not even sure what she's saying at this point. If I saw my therapist posting NSFW stuff online, it would definitely. Well, I mean, it's I don't know. I got real good about consent. Okay, so wait, what exactly did she just cop to? Yeah, or I mean, she's licensed, right? She did lose her job doing, therapy, because of this situation, because of the the stuff that she had up on social media. I'm not entirely sure I understand. So, I don't know, chat. Let
no, Poppy kind of had to educate herself on shit, figure things out.
back it up and listen to the admission again. This is like
that like this stuff just isn't true. These people are accusing me of things that like
is it right after this?
honestly like are so exorbitant and like I guess extreme that like there's no way my brain can grab onto them and ever like gaslight myself into thinking I've done them. Like for example, with my trauma as a child, did I reenact that? Sure, with a girl that was my own age. I've since spoken to her twin sister and buried the hatchet through that intermediary.
Oh
but
my
the
God.
reality is that like when that happened,
My trauma, did I reenact that? Yes. With like, what is she saying? What is she saying? She reenacted inappropriate sexual stuff with another youth, like against their consent? Like what exactly? I'm not sure what she's saying like happened.
that got out of school. I ended up being a pariah for several years, barely had any friends. And from there, I got real good about consent because why? I never wanted to be treated like that again.
Reenacting her CSA with another kid, like
I'm not saying I haven't fucked up.
And I gotta be honest, this was a like
It was a kid doing it.
like, these were children where adults utterly failed them to actually take any of the proper steps that should have happened. So yeah, no, Poppy kind of had to educate herself on shit, figure things out.
Yeah. Like I grew up in the
I'm not sure what I just heard.
90s. Not a great time to learn consent. That's something I had to figure out on my own and how to be careful. Like I grew up poor, so one of the reasons I was so big on condom usage with my partners because I didn't want to be a parent, and then I found a lady who groomed me, and then I became a parent. Oops. So yeah, I'm just gonna.
Yeah, got better at consent. Jesus Christ. Wait, so we're talking about she doesn't mention what ages she and the other person were. Yeah, that's
Gonna be really clear that like if people want to fold off or unsub, be my guest. It was nice having you. The comments and the trans, the transphobic slurs and all the other bullshit that people have been leaving, you're just gonna get hidden from the channel. We've had so many like KF level like stuff. I literally deleted like 8 comments an hour ago that were basically things saying that they were saying things, just using the other T slur.
for some reason, chat, whenever anybody says KF, I'm like, what did Kevin Logan do wrong? Like KF Logan, Kevin Logan, like, right? No, we're not. We're talking about another KF. We're talking about the awful hell side of the harassment side of the One of the worst harassment sites on the internet.
You know, it's like, okay, that's fine. You guys can f off. Honestly, petty assaults are just that. False allegations, doxing is another. Well, that's my thing, is like, I don't mind making fun of these people, but I'm not gonna go after their lives. As much as I dislike some of them, as much as
Wait, what do you do when you fucking say, like, Noah Flake is a artist? Like, what do you think that's doing? Like, that might be, you know, like, is I don't know. I don't want to ask about what somebody's real name is, because anyway, Jesus Christ.
Some of these people, and I'm gonna be really clear. Some of them I fucking loathe. I'm not gonna go after their life. I'm not gonna fuck with their job because I have principles.
Way.
This world is hard enough to be in without people screwing each other over out of being able to eat. Like, I want you
We've
to
always had that principle too. Like, there's literally a line in our server on the rules that say, don't go after people's personal lives. I don't care how much you hate them, what you think about them. Like, it is way too easy to have parasocial assholes, you know, going after people or trying to make judgments about IRL situations that they're not part of, not around for, have no idea what the actual nuance there is, you know, to go after people. And people on the left have tried this in the past. That rule on the server is there because somebody made us put it there. Somebody's actions were really fucked up, and we were like, you know what? This is not how we want our community to be. And we have held that position for years. But suddenly it's us, and people hate us, and they're like, oh yeah, let's go do it to Xena and Poppy now.
And again, here's the thing. This is why I know I'm in the right. Because I've had people come to me in private and tell me that our community has been the safest place they found on the online life. They jumped from Vaush's server to every other person under the sun. And the one place they found a home where people listen to them and actually want to talk and engage and care is our server. One of our own mods split it off because they apparently didn't like my pushback against my boss. They thought my boss was in the right. And now has directly told me, I'm being really clear. Our ex-mod Kira just literally spit out, oh, I don't believe that you were sexually assaulted. Because I read some DMs from before the trip that convinced me that what happened during the trip wasn't real. I want you to think about that for a minute. Think about that. Those two things don't work together.
Hey,
anything that happened beforehand
it's been a while since I saw my
doesn't
face.
actually counter the
I haven't
claim.
been doing so
This is
great,
a person
so
who
I
go through, like,
took a little
studies
break.
and this person's very intelligent.
So a lot of people are saying some things about me that aren't quite true. It's a matter if it's true, though. Just as long as it's entertaining to... Right? You guys having fun? All aboard the toxic gossip train. You're chatting down the tracks of disinformation. The toxic gossip train. You got a one-way, bring it to a bitbilation station. Toxic gossip train. Tie me to the tracks and harass me for my past. These rumors look like facts. If you don't mind the gaps, I won't survive in the crash, but hey, at least you have fun. Hi everyone. I've been wanting to come online and talk to you about a few things. Even though my team has strongly advised me to not say what I want to say, I recently realized that they never said that I couldn't sing what I want to say. So here I am, and today I only want to talk about the facts. So I hope that you'll be willing to listen. Here we go. Many years ago, I used to message my fans, but not in a creepy way like a lot of you are trying to suggest. It was more of a loser kind of way, but I was just trying to be besties with everybody. It's kind of like when you go to like a family gathering, and there's a weird aunt there that keeps going up to you and going like, hey girl, what's the tea? And we're like, that was me, but in group chats with my fan. It was weird. I've been sharing my life online for over 15 years. I've poured my heart out to you, and because of that, I feel like I'm talking to my friends, but in the beginning of my career, I didn't really understand that maybe there should be some boundaries there. And there were times in the DMs when I would overshare details of my life, which was really weird of me. I haven't done that for years, you see, because I changed my behavior, and I took accountability. But that's not very interesting, is it? So let's go on. The toxic gossip train. The locomotives fueled with hateful accusations. The toxic gossip train. Steam all over someone's reputation.